Stop! Disaster has befallen Kilcreath Temple. Don't be alarmed. I mean you no harm. But there are Harrow fiends swarming around Kilcreath Temple who do. Head back to safety before they find you. I'm sorry, but you're too late. An unnatural storm struck the temple, and now the entire area is overrun by vampires and Harrow fiends. Harrow fiends are feral vampires, a byproduct of the unnatural Harrow storm. As for me, I am Fenorian of House Ravenwatch. I came here on the trail of remains stolen from a mass grave in Bankurai. They were shipped to Solitude in ancient urns. Yes, I've run into the Coven as well. The urns and the stolen remains play a part in a ritual to summon the storms. If you're willing, I could use your assistance. I need to finish my investigation of the site to see what else I can learn. I could use your help to examine the strange pikes erected around the temple. Harrow fiends and vampires roam the area, making it difficult to get close. Hence the need for your assistance. You see, I'm not that confident in my combat prowess. The Icereach Coven performed a ritual that unleashed a Harrow storm on the temple. It struck without warning and evaporated as quickly as it began. But in its wake, it left behind Harrow fiends. Innocent priests and pilgrims transformed into monsters. That's what I heard the Icereach Coven call the storm that struck Kilcreath Temple. It's magical. House Ravenwatch is one of the noble houses of Rivenspire. Our liege, Count Verandus, has dedicated us to the cause of peaceful coexistence between mortals and those of the vampiric persuasion. That often makes us defenders of Tamriel. True. But I've seen evidence of a vampiric connection. At the very least, the material they transported from Bankurai included the remains of ancient vampires. They were part of an army that was defeated in the First Era, the Grey Host. An army that consisted of vampires and werewolves, led by King Styriek and Verkarth. They were eventually defeated by the garrison at Bankurai in High Rock. It all happened a very long time ago, but such remains radiate with arcane power. Is it that obvious? But have no fear. As a member of House Ravenwatch, I have pledged to never take blood from an unwilling subject. I assure you, I'm only here to help. I am much more than just a vampire. In addition to being an agent of House Ravenwatch, I am a master alchemist and an expert in arcane studies. I do try to avoid direct violence, though, to make sure I never give in to temptation. Maybe they can tell us more about what happened at the temple. An alchemical residue. That should prove useful. It's depleted. Just ordinary sticks and rope now. Interesting. Can you feel the lingering energy? That's Daedric, if I'm not mistaken. These depleted witch pikes expended a lot of power to summon the Hero Storm. Now they're just ordinary sticks, but even in this state, they tell us much about the ritual that flowed through them. I'm sure now that the pikes play a significant role as focal points for the storm ritual. The prepared pikes are depleted as the ritual runs its course, but I sensed lingering energy, including a Daedric taint. And we found an intriguing residue. It's the remains of an alchemical poultice that was spread over the pikes. Smells like rotting fungus, doesn't it? With a little study, I should be able to identify each ingredient in its makeup. Then I can begin to understand the ritual. One other thing I want to check first. I noticed the pilgrims leading a cart away from the temple right before the storm hit. Coven members could have tried to slip away among the innocents. The cart should be along the road south of the temple. Alive, but unresponsive. Check the crates and see if they contain the smuggled items. Did you find anything of interest in the crate? I can't believe anyone knowingly involved would have let themselves be exposed to the storm. Perhaps the pilgrims were tricked into transporting the crate. Or maybe it was slipped into their cart. Yes, of course. Though I fear what we may find there. The temple was clearly at the center of the storm. Regardless, there's still a lot we don't know about the effects of this ritual. Observing the target area could offer new insights. These are temple priests and pilgrims. It seems the storm killed them. I'll need to perform more tests. But from what we've seen, I believe the storm affects mortals in 3 distinct ways. It kills them, transforms them into harrow fiends, and leaves them mindless. I suppose I'd say it harrowed those poor pilgrims. I want to learn more about the ritual and how it produces the harrow storms. And I need to confirm my theories about the storm's effects. I'll start by examining the residue from the witch pike to identify the components used to power the ritual. My alchemical equipment. It's extremely fragile, so I left it in my pack. I hid it among a copse of trees once I saw all the vampires and harrow fiends. Once I retrieve it, I can find a place to begin my analysis. Wait! I'm not
That's close enough, Leech. Looks like I made it back just in time. This place is crawling with vampires, and that one was about to make a meal out of you. House Ravenwatch. I've heard of them, but he's a long way from Rivenspire. Well, if you're willing to trust a vampire, I suppose I can too. I spotted a coven witch. If we hurry, we might be able to catch her. On the cliff overlooking the temple. Calls herself Sister Embrit. I was going to rush her, but I wanted to make sure you hadn't run afoul of any of these monsters first. No offense, Fen. Come on. If we're lucky, the witch is still up there.
Perhaps I could question the witch before you introduce her to your impressive axe blade?
seems the ritual needs
Kill her
refinement.
before she can summon another storm.
Willing sacrifices. Oh, nice.
Sacrifice! I'd rather give you my axe, witch.
No matter. I found something. This way?
Go with your vampire friend. I'm gonna look around here.
Do you see? These are the same as the urns smuggled from Bankarai. They didn't just shatter. They exploded. I can sense traces of magicka clinging to the shards that match the energy used in the storm ritual. These other fragments, though. All this rubble scattered around didn't just come from these urns. The texture and patterns are different. They appear to have used the funerary dust in the urns to summon the Harrow Storms. But I'm not sure what was inside the larger vessels. Look at the shape of the fragments. They come from a hollow receptacle of some sort. Something at least as tall as you. Perhaps larger. Just another piece of the puzzle. Maybe when I analyze the witchpike residue, an answer will suggest itself. Thank you, but no. I try to avoid large population centers. The temptation. You understand. I'll find someplace nearby, but out of the way where I can set up my equipment and work undisturbed. I'll send word when I have something to report. I met a clever woman who lives in the bog near Morthal. Old Mjolnir's a dying breed among the Nords, a practitioner of the old magic. The locals both admire and fear her. If anyone can help me untangle the Coven's ritual, it's her. Mjolnir's experience with the old ways and reach magic make her ideally suited to assist me in this endeavor. She's the closest thing to an expert we're likely to find out here. At least one who doesn't want to feed our eyes to a harpy. Western Skyrim consists of 3 holds: Haathengard, Hjalmarch, and Carthald. Morthal is the capital of Hjalmarch. It's located southeast of Solitude, along the River Hjal. Old Mjolnir lives in the marshlands nearby.
So, what did your vampire friend discover? Reach witches summoning magical storms to create feral vampires? That's horrible, but to what purpose? Well, that's the next puzzle to solve. First, we need to get this information to the Queen. Here. This was for Brondol, but it's yours now. Queen Gerhild needs to hear what we discovered at Kilcreath Temple. Hopefully that will be enough for her to get us an audience with High King Svargrim. The Queen seemed reasonable. She'll believe us. As for Svargrim, who can tell? I haven't met the man, but everything I've heard describes him as prideful, arrogant, and hard-headed. Even with the Queen's help, there's no guarantee. I'd like to knock down the palace door, grab him by the throat, and shake him until he listens. That would probably start a war, though, and Yoren specifically asked me to avoid that. For now, let's bring our evidence to Queen Gerhild. If there's anything else we need to discuss, let's get it out of the way now, before we return to Solitude. Hey, you and Fëanorian came to that conclusion, not me. Still, it makes as much sense as anything. As to why, I have no idea. This connection to vampires, though, that's troubling. We should keep Fen away until we get into Svargrim's good graces. A clever woman? Out here? Nords are extremely distrustful of magic, especially Nords from Western Skyrim. I'm surprised the people of Morthal tolerate her presence. If anyone can help Fen figure out the Coven's ritual, though, it would be her. Our priority remains getting an audience with High King Svargrim. We need to convince him that the Ice Reach Coven is a threat to his kingdom, and get him to help us stop them. Let's return to Solitude and present our findings to the Queen. Clever men and women are Nords with an aptitude for magic, though most use the term to refer to practitioners of the old ways. They're rare. Not the usual adepts found at the Mages Guild. Distrust of magic runs deep in Skyrim, especially out here. Could be that the elves our ancestors fought soured our taste for magic. Or maybe there weren't enough skalds singing about wizards going to Sovngarde. Might be that Nords just prefer their natural talents. Either way, magic isn't popular.